How many books by Indigenous authors did you read last year? If the answer is not many, do not worry. I am here to help you with a bunch of great Indigenous book recommendations. I have a book club, Good Day to Read Indigenous. It's over on Discord. You can actually join below. And I'm going to be talking about all of the books we've read since the book club started. Hi, I'm Naomi from the Mixed Up Desk. Welcome to my channel. I created this book club with one goal in mind, and that was to get more people reading and talking about more Indigenous books. It's true that there are some books on social media, some Indigenous books that get really, really popular, but there are a lot of others that no one's even heard of yet. So let's talk about what my book club has read so far. We started off strong with Wandering Stars by Tommy Orange. Now this is the follow-up to his hit first book, There. And while you don't have to read them both, I think you absolutely should. Wandering Stars picks up where There left off with a very serious situation. So in the first book, There, the story follows 12 different characters on the way to the powwow, and then the powwow happens. An event happens at the powwow, and then we pick up in Wandering Stars. This isn't exactly a sequel because it starts off back in 1864 and then it follows the timeline from the first book. We cover war, colonization, assimilation, boarding schools, addiction, generational trauma, and the importance of community. This is a story about the beauty of culture and the resilience of Indigenous people. It's masterly crafted with poetic passages, and I cannot recommend it enough. Okay, the next book that we read is Indian Burial Ground by Nick Medina. This is Indigenous horror. A man jumps in front of a car, an elderly woman drowns herself, and then a corpse at a funeral just sits up. What is happening? I liked this book a lot. I thought it was really, really creepy. And I really felt that the character Ern, who was an obese man living in a trailer, he never left the trailer. He couldn't get out of it. I felt like he was one of the most interesting characters that I've read in a long time. We read The Berry Pickers by Amanda Peters, and this ended up being one of my favorite reads of the year. You are going to cry. I'm going to warn you right now, you are going to cry. This book is told from two perspectives, Norma and Joe. Joe had a very traumatic event when he was a young child. His sister went missing, never to be seen again. It has haunted him his entire life. Norma is trying to figure out her own life, and she's starting to realize that the family she thought was her family might not, she doesn't fit in there. They might not be her family. This is a tragic, devastating mystery, beautifully written. Cannot recommend this book enough. We read Lizards Hold the Sun by Danny Trujillo. This is an indie author. This is an Indigenous romance that takes place on the reservation. Ancient artifacts, shooting stars, and cultural obligations, these two characters must decide if they belong to each other or if the responsibility to their tribes and families are where they must be. Danny Trujillo also has a second book out, When the Stars Have Teeth. I haven't read this one yet, but it takes place in San Francisco. I'm obsessed with this cover. This is on my TBR for this year. Let me know if you've read either of those below. I know I talked about this video in my last book, and that was I Was a Teenage Slasher by Stephen Graham Jones. You need to read this if you haven't yet, even if you say you don't like horror, because this could be a book for even, I think, somebody who's a little bit scared. I'm looking at you. A great coming-of-age horror romance. Yes, I said horror romance because even though there is murder in here, there's also a very, very charming, cute teenage love story. This is about a boy becoming a slasher. How did he get here? Peanuts. We read Looking for Smoke by K.A. Kobo, which is a YA thriller. Now, this book has just been nominated for a ton of awards, and it was Reese Witherspoon's book club pick. This is about murdered and missing Indigenous women. There are a group of friends. They're all suspects. Who done it? I was guessing until the end. Truly great, great book. The Truth According to Ember by Danica Nava. Have you read it yet? This is the first traditionally published Indigenous rom-com about a woman who needs a job. So she lies to get the job, and then she can't stop lying. And then she meets the very, very hunky IT guy. But her whole life is a lie. So how is that going to work out? You've got to read it. The main character is both very, very annoying, but also super endearing. The side characters are some of the best side characters that I've ever read in a book. And I could not stop laughing. Like, I was truly laughing the entire time. This book is truly a com in the rom. You know what I mean? It's a rom-com. A Council of Dolls by Mona Susan Power. Again, incredible book that is going to make you cry. This is a historical fiction generational story told in part from the perspective of the dolls that these women owned. Again, one of my favorite reads. I don't know how a book can be devastating and hopeful at the same time, but this book was all of that. This is going to be a book that is on my reread list. We read Where They Last Saw Her by Marcy R. Rendon. Marcy R. Rendon is the author of the Cash Black Bear series. And if you haven't read that yet, it's a mystery series. You need to check it out right now. This book is not in that series. And this is more thriller than mystery, I would say. I love this author. Our main character, Quill, has lived on the reservation for her whole life. She's out running one morning. She hears a scream. She goes back and she finds an earring. And since she knows that the police really aren't going to do their jobs, she's determined to solve this crime on her own. Well, with the help of some friends. As she starts getting closer to solving the case, another woman disappears. I love a book that shines a light on the missing and murdered women epidemic, and this is a fantastic one to put on your TBR. We read The Unfinished by Cheryl Isaacs. This is a YA horror novel. Look at this freaking cover. You probably should be buying this right now. Avery goes on a run in the morning and she discovers a weird pond in the middle of the forest. People start disappearing, including her longtime crush. She heard rumors of these monsters from her elders, but she felt disconnected from her culture. In order for her to fight whatever is happening here, she's going to have to get back in touch with herself. You could not put this book down. It was so suspenseful. I love a story with a main female character who needs to grow into her power. I absolutely eat it up. Last month, we read The Art Thieves by Andrea L. Rogers, and this is going to be in my top 10 of the year. This book is a masterpiece. If you love speculative fiction, you need this Indigenous dystopian. In the near future, Stevie Henry is a Cherokee girl and she is working at a museum and she meets a boy from the future who tells her things are about to get a lot worse. And then they do. This book was a little bit hard to read because I felt like some of the things that are going on in this book are actually happening to us right now in real time. But it also offered hope. And I think that's really important. Gorgeous writing. I think I'm going to do a longer review on this. I'll definitely have something up on my TikTok, maybe on my Bindery. If you are not a member yet of my reader community on Bindery, please do join. It's free to do, and you help support my Indigenous publishing imprint. Link for that is down below, and the link to my Discord where this book club happens is also down below. This month we are reading Godly Heathens by H.E. Edgman. This is a YA fantasy. Okay, so I hope I have convinced you of a few different things. Number one, you need to read more Indigenous books. Number two, I can make that easier because I have designed a book club to help you with that goal. And you can join that book club in the Discord below. And three, joining my reader community on Bindery helps support my Indigenous imprint, whose goal is to uplift and promote Indigenous authors. That is all for today, friends. I hope you found at least one book that you have added to your TBR. Let me know if you would like to see a longer review of any of these books or any other Indigenous books. See you next time.